All right, let's dive straight into this explainer. Today, we're going to explore the system that operates behind human discipline. We're fundamentally reframing the way you understand willpower and your ability to move forward in life. If you've ever struggled with motivation or wondered why some people seem to have an endless reservoir of determination, while others run out of steam so quickly, then you're in exactly the right place. And honestly, by the end of this explainer, the way you view your daily struggles may completely change. And before we go any further, if you're interested in science-based tools and insights that can help you improve your performance, focus, and discipline, make sure to subscribe to Neural Tools. Also, stick around until the very end of this video, because I'll leave you with a practical action step that you can start applying today. First, let me ask you a question, and I want you to be completely honest with yourself. Are you born with willpower? Most of us naturally assume that willpower is some mysterious, invisible force. We tend to think that either you're born with relentless drive and unshakable determination, or you're destined to spend your life struggling with procrastination and comfort. We treat willpower as a fixed personality trait. But is that actually true? This is where the story completely changes. The myth is that willpower is simply a genetic lottery ticket that you're born with. But modern neuroscience suggests something very different. Science has found that willpower is connected to a real, measurable structure within the brain. It's almost like a muscle inside your head that can be developed, strengthened, and expanded over time. You are not limited to the amount of willpower you have right now. You can actually change your brain's capacity for discipline. Now let's move to the first section. Meet the AMCC, your brain's discipline center. AMCC stands for the Anterior Midcingulate Cortex. I know it sounds like one of those dry biological terms you'd hear in a classroom and immediately forget. But in the world of high performance, this small area of the brain is often associated with discipline, persistence, and the drive to push forward. It's considered one of the key structures involved when you push through mental resistance. Whenever you overcome a mental barrier, this region becomes active. And here's where things get really interesting. When neuroscientists study people's brains, they notice some striking differences. They've found that this area tends to be smaller in individuals struggling with obesity. Meanwhile, it's often larger in elite athletes. Even more fascinating, it's highly developed in what researchers call super-agers. These are individuals who maintain impressive mental sharpness and vitality well into their 80s and 90s. The people who thrive later in life haven't merely preserved this structure. They've continued to develop it. Now let's move into the second section, the need for friction, or more simply, doing things you don't want to do. This is the part many people find difficult to hear. The AMCC appears to develop when you repeatedly engage in tasks that require effort and resistance. Think about that for a moment. That's the real challenge. Building willpower isn't just about staying busy or packing your schedule with activities. It's about deliberately doing things that create internal resistance. If you want this mental muscle to grow, resistance has to be present. Let's make this concrete. Imagine you love taking an ice bath every morning. You jump into freezing water, stay there for 10 minutes, and come out feeling amazing. According to this perspective, because you enjoyed the experience, it may not create the same growth stimulus. Now consider the opposite scenario. If you're terrified of the cold water, if every part of you wants to stay under the warm covers, but you force yourself to get in anyway, that's where growth occurs. The magic lies in overcoming the resistance. That's why people often talk about embracing discomfort. When you force yourself to go for a run in the rain, even though you don't feel like it, you're doing more than burning calories. You're sending your brain a signal to become stronger. So what is actually happening under the hood? What changes inside the brain? When you do something you don't want to do, your brain responds in interesting ways. Whether it's resisting a craving while dieting or exercising, when you'd rather stay asleep, you're practicing effort in the face of resistance. According to this framework, the AMCC is involved in processes related to motivation and dopamine signaling. Over time, you begin teaching your brain that effort itself has value. Not just the reward at the end, but the work required to get there. Gradually, you become more comfortable with difficult tasks. Everything we've discussed so far is important. But what comes next may be the most important part of this entire conversation. So don't leave yet, because in the next few minutes, you'll understand why so many people manage to build discipline but struggle to maintain it over the long term. Now let's move into the third section, use it or lose it. Research suggests that willpower is a highly perishable skill. When it comes to discipline, there are no permanent victories. You can spend months strengthening your AMCC through difficult challenges. But if you stop, the benefits don't necessarily remain forever. Think of it like a muscle that weakens when it's no longer trained. Neuroplasticity works in both directions. Difficult tasks can strengthen these systems. Inactivity can weaken them. And one of the most interesting claims is that when a difficult task eventually becomes easy and comfortable, it may stop providing the same growth stimulus. That's why people often need new challenges. In other words, you have to keep renewing your commitment to discipline. Now let's make this practical. Step 1. Identify one thing you've been avoiding simply because it's uncomfortable. Nothing dangerous, just something you've been putting off. Step 2. Move directly toward that discomfort. Maybe it's starting a difficult conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's squeezing out one extra rep at the end of a tough workout. Or maybe it's simply starting an important task immediately, instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Step 3. Every time you do this, you build a stronger and more resilient version of yourself. Let me leave you with one final thought. If you want to stop being someone who only learns about personal growth and become someone who actually practices it, then action is required. What hidden corners of your mind will you start cleaning out today? What discomfort have you been avoiding? Because according to this perspective, hidden inside that discomfort is the blueprint for greater willpower. Go out there and find your challenge today. If you found this information valuable, make sure to hit the like button and share this video with someone who wants to improve their focus, discipline, and motivation. And for more science-based explainers and practical neuroscience tools, don't forget to subscribe to Neural Tools. Leave a comment below and tell us, what's one challenge you're going to face today? Thank you for watching, take care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.